Welcome. As always, a pleasure to have your company. My name is Neil Harvey and you're watching RT International. Now, having a different point of view from Washington's makes you no better than armed terrorists. At least that appears to be what the new man in charge of America's government-funded foreign broadcasts thinks. He mentioned RT in the same breath as Islamic State.
We're facing a number of challenges from entities like Russia Today, which is out there pushing a point of view, the Islamic State in the Middle East, and groups like Boko Haram.
Well, Stephen Ellis is Director of Advocacy at the International Press Institute, a global network for people working in the media. He told RT that Lack should have phrased his comments more carefully, while admitting that RT does present a challenge in the competition for global viewers, and that could be worrying for US-backed outlets. The editor of politics.co.uk, Ian Dunt, believes that Washington is afraid of media competition.
But it does sort of seem to serve to show the extent to which people have lost their minds over RT, really, especially in Washington and London, where criticism of the channel is now so vicious, so violent, that someone could find themselves uttering the sentence that was uttered, comparing it to ISIS, comparing it to Boko Haram. Quite plainly, to any right-thinking person, that would be an absurd comparison. The attacks towards RT are completely disproportionate to the problems of the network itself, and is being viewed this way because there's a terror in London and in Washington of new upstarts, of new information coming up and challenging the narratives that they have owned for the last 50 years or so.
RT's Gayane Chichakyan joins me live now with more on the story. Gayane, good to speak to you. I'm kind of getting a bit used to the cheap shots working here at RT, but it seems like this one's going a little bit too far. What reaction has there been to these words?
Well, first of all, we would expect some kind of reaction from the New York Times, which did the interview with Andrew Lack. His putting RT in one line with ISIS and Boko Haram went unchallenged. Andrew Lack represents a government agency, so I went to the State Department to find out whether the U.S. government finds the remarks appropriate. The spokesperson did not say yes or no to that question, but she did try to distance the U.S. government from the comments. Take a listen.
I think the broad point, would the U.S. government put those three in the same category? No, we wouldn't.
Do you have any problem with the way he put it?
I think I'd point you to them, and I just stated that wouldn't be the way that we would state it from here.
How would you state it?
We wouldn't state it in those terms.
The Secretary of State is a member of the BBG.
Sure. I just stated the concerns we have, which we agree with. I would state it in that way.
Well, the concerns that the spokeswoman mentioned had to do with the media environment in Russia. She pointed to the fact that I, as an RT reporter, was there asking questions, an opportunity which I appreciate greatly. But what my colleagues and I do not appreciate is being put alongside ISIS and Boko Haram in whatever context. The reaction of RT is clear. Journalists find the remarks appalling. Although, as you heard, the State Department spokesperson did stress that the U.S. government would not put RT in the same category of challenges, but she said the U.S. does see RT as a challenge, which I guess was no secret to us.
The propaganda bullhorn that is the state-sponsored Russia Today program has been deployed to promote, actually Russia Today network has deployed to promote President Putin's fantasy about what is playing out on the ground.
We are in an information war, and we are losing that war. I'll be very blunt in my assessment. The Russians have opened up an English language network. I've seen it in a few countries, and it's quite instructive.
We can't allow ourselves to be out-communicated by our enemies.
Going back to Andrew Lack, he is in charge of an agency with a $700 million budget. It oversees Voice of America, Radio Free Europe, Radio Liberty, the Middle East Broadcasting Networks, and Radio Free Asia. Seeing RT as competition is one thing, but putting it alongside terrorist organizations sounds like something very different.
Yes, and government funded, I think we mentioned, which people are always so keen to point out when it comes to RT. Anyway, that's our correspondent Gayane Chichakyan there with the latest. Thank you. Well, RT is also covering this story online on our website and via Twitter with the hashtag #NewsIsNotTerror. And we're also interested in what you think, of course, so please do send us your opinions. Don't forget to use that hashtag and, of course, stay with us on RT.